What does it mean to be both a voice of a generation and a symbol of rebellion? Tupac Shakur, the man who turned his pain into poetry and his struggles into anthems, was more than just a rapper. He was a revolutionary. His music, activism, and complex persona still reverberate across the globe, even years after his untimely death. But how did a troubled youth from Baltimore rise to become one of the most influential figures in music history? Let's dive into the life of Tupac, a man whose legacy transcends his music, igniting conversations that still shape culture today. Tupac Amaru Shakur was born on June 16, 1971, in East Harlem, New York City, to an extremely politically active family. His mother, Afeni Shakur, was a member of the Black Panther Party, and his father, Billy Garland, was also involved in activism. Tupac's name came from Tupac Amaru II, the last indigenous ruler of Peru, who was executed after leading a rebellion against Spanish colonizers. From the moment of his birth, Tupac was destined for greatness, but it was a greatness that came with immense struggle. Tupac's early life was filled with hardship. His mother, Afeni, struggled with poverty and the challenges of being a single parent, while Tupac dealt with the chaos that came from growing up in a turbulent environment. When Tupac was just 2 years old, his family moved to Baltimore, where he would be introduced to the arts that would later define his career. Tupac found his passion for performance and self-expression at the Baltimore School for the Arts, where he studied acting, poetry, jazz, and ballet. It was here that he met future friend and collaborator Jada Pinkett, who would later become an important part of his life. Though he was an exceptional student, it was his love of poetry that truly set him apart. Tupac's gift for words became his weapon of choice, using them to channel his anger, confusion, and hopes for a better life. This would be the foundation of his music, lyrics that were raw, unapologetic, and deeply personal. However, Tupac's life outside of school was far from perfect.
My mother had a really bad childhood, and my father had a bad childhood, and I had a bad childhood, but I love my childhood. Even though it was bad, I love it.
After his mother's struggles with addiction and financial instability, Tupac moved to California in 1988, where he began to explore the world of hip-hop more seriously. In 1991, Tupac became a backup dancer and a rapper for the group Digital Underground, where he first gained recognition in the music world. His first appearance on a track, Same Song, showcased his natural talent and charismatic personality. However, it wasn't until 1992 when Tupac released his debut solo album, Tupacalypse Now, that he truly made his mark. The album addressed social issues such as police brutality, racism, and the struggles of growing up in poverty. The controversial song Brenda's Got a Baby told the story of a young girl who became pregnant at a young age, a stark reflection of the struggles within the African American community. This song would solidify Tupac's position as a voice for the voiceless. In the early 1990s, Tupac's life began to reflect the themes he rapped about. He became known for his thug life philosophy, a mantra that celebrated resilience in the face of adversity and rejected societal norms. This outlook was both a reflection of the harsh realities he faced growing up and a rebellion against a system he felt was designed to keep people like him down. But despite his tough persona, Tupac was deeply introspective, often grappling with his own identity and the violence around him. His troubled past caught up with him, as he was involved in several run-ins with the law. In 1994, Tupac was shot multiple times during a robbery at a New York recording studio, an attack that left him injured but only fueled his anger and desire to fight back against the system. Tupac's career reached its pinnacle in the mid-1990s with the release of some of his most iconic albums, including Me Against the World, 1995, All Eyes on Me, 1996, and The Dawn Killuminati, The 7-Day Theory, 1996. These albums were not just commercial successes, they were cultural landmarks, offering a mix of gangster rap, introspective lyrics, and politically charged content. Tupac's music became a soundtrack to the struggles of many young black men and women, speaking about the harsh realities of life in the projects, the impact of systemic racism, and the yearning for better opportunities. His track Changes, for example, highlighted the need for societal change and addressed the challenges faced by Black Americans in the 1990s. But Tupac's personal life was equally turbulent. His feud with East Coast rapper the Notorious B.I.G, Biggie Smalls, was widely publicized, fueling the East Coast-West Coast rivalry that would later become a defining narrative in hip-hop history. The tension between the two rappers was exacerbated by media sensationalism and their respective affiliations with rival record labels, Tupac with Death Row Records and Biggie with Bad Boy Records. Tupac's life outside of the music industry was filled with controversy, legal battles, and personal struggles. In 1993, he was involved in a police assault charge, and in 1994, he was convicted of sexual assault, which led to a prison sentence. While in prison, Tupac's life took a dark turn, with his involvement in a number of violent incidents. It was also during this time that he began to reflect on his life choices, questioning the path he had taken. Despite his imprisonment, Tupac's influence only grew. In 1995, his friend and label boss, Suge Knight, bailed him out of prison, and Tupac signed with Death Row Records. His time at Death Row was marked by intense drama, including disputes with other artists, media feuds, and public controversies. In the years leading up to his death, Tupac was more reflective and introspective than ever. He was determined to take control of his narrative and leave behind a legacy that transcended his past mistakes. In 1996, he released The Don Killuminati, The 7-Day Theory, an album that displayed a darker, more philosophical side to the artist. However, tragedy struck on September 7, 1996, when Tupac was shot multiple times in a drive-by shooting in Las Vegas, Nevada, after a Mike Tyson boxing match. He succumbed to his injuries 6 days later, on September 13, 1996, at the age of 25. His death remains shrouded in mystery, with numerous conspiracy theories surrounding the circumstances of his murder. At the time of his death, Tupac's estimated net worth was around $40 million. This was a massive sum considering his short life and tumultuous career. Tupac's estate, however, has continued to generate income posthumously, with his music, films, and memorabilia still in demand. Tupac's influence on hip-hop and popular culture is immeasurable. His music, activism, and messages about social justice have made him a martyr for many. He is considered one of the greatest rappers of all time, and his legacy continues to inspire artists, activists, and fans around the world. What made Tupac Shakur so unforgettable? Was it his music, his activism, or his ability to turn his pain into powerful art? The answer is all of the above. Tupac was a man who lived with purpose, passion, and a deep understanding of the struggles his people faced. His life and legacy will never be forgotten, and his influence will continue to live on for generations to come. Let us know your thoughts on Tupac's legacy in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories of the Black Crown Chronicles.